I'll post a link to the article. It's in the Wall Street Journal. Like I said, I don't know if you need a subscription to read it, but I don't think I had a subscription to read it. So at least for now, it's publicly available. And the highlights are, in order to improve organizational, this is not an individual policy idea. This is an organizational policy idea in the United States. The theory goes, if you want to improve organizational cybersecurity, maybe you should look at using the tax code as a mechanism to achieve that goal, specifically cyber tax credits or tax credits generically. So how it would work is this. And again, this is not being proposed as legislation. This is just a person, an individual writing an article in Wall Street Journal with an idea. The idea is a tax credit at the federal level. So this is not a state law. This is a federal law. This would impact the U.S. IRS code for organizations that pay tax in the United States. If you want to, for example, promote cybersecurity best practices, for example, multi-factor authentication, you might have a framework where the organization in question, if it can demonstrate that it is using multi-factor authentication within its organization, it would be eligible to receive a tax credit. What that would mean is that organization presumably has a tax liability for any given tax year, and the tax credit would be available to them if they were able to demonstrate that they were using MFA. Now, on the face of it, you might be thinking, Charles, that's a really fantastic idea. Why wouldn't we want to be all in favor of it? Well, there's a number of reasons why you wouldn't be in favor of it. There's a number of reasons I'm really not in favor of the mechanism to get there. Again, I'm not talking about use of MFA here. I'm talking about how you go about doing that, specifically using something like the IRS or the U.S. tax code as a mechanism to change behavior. Number one, someone's going to have to write this. Someone's going to have to create a standard. And the author of this article states that a standard and frameworks would have to be created. And the first thing that came to mind, and I don't think that the author knows about this, maybe they do, but there was an article in the Wall Street Journal, the same publication, that was written back in 2012 that made the argument that managed services providers and cloud providers needed a standard of organizational best practices and behavior. I know this because I wrote it. I wrote that, and it was in the Wall Street Journal, and it was way before this individual had the idea of cyber tax credits. And in that article, I present the case of, look, we recognize way before pandemic, way before cybersecurity, ransomware attacks became the thing. We were talking about this and have been talking about this for a long time. And we believe in standards. What we don't believe in is this type of concept or construct where the U.S. IRS would be, in essence, in charge of cybersecurity, at least being administered, through the tax code that they are the sole agents of guarding and auditing and pursuing.